An issue that I've seen popping up lately is the safety of aerial, and people are asking, is this safe? Is this something that I should be doing or letting my kids do? I've compiled a list of safety tips for aerialists and things to just reduce risk, because you never really completely eliminate it, but these are just some things that can help. The first thing is you want to make sure that you're properly warmed up. If you don't take the time to properly warm up, you are more likely to injure yourself. Your muscles are kind of like a rubber band. If it is cold and you're trying to stretch it, it is more likely to snap, rather than if it's warm and you're trying to bend and move it, it's more likely to stretch. So you want to focus on your shoulders, your back, and your hands when you're warming up. You want to warm up everything and make sure that you're completely warm, probably for about 10 to 15 minutes. But aerial is really shoulder and back heavy, and you use a lot of those muscles, so it really makes sure that those are warm, as well as just making sure that your hands and your fingers are properly warmed up and ready to grip properly, because your grip can really make a huge difference on the safety while you're in the air. The second thing is you want to check your equipment before you get up in the air. And if you're going to a studio, then you can probably assume that they're checking the equipment, but if you want to just be extra sure, just take a look at it yourself and make sure that there's nothing weird or iffy that you can visually see. And you probably want to learn a little bit yourself about the equipment and how to ensure that it's actually safe. Here is how I check my equipment. So I have my Lyra hanging from my A-frame, and I have it suspended. I have this sling that I wrapped around here like a knot, and then it's connected to a carabiner, which is then connected to a swivel, so that way I can spin, and then it's connected to another carabiner, which is connected to the Lyra, and this is just a single point. So that's how I have that on there. When I check it, I would just make sure that this is secured all the way, because if it comes loose, it's more likely to pop out. So I just make sure that those are secure. So especially if you have equipment at home, I would just double check those, because you never know. Just make sure that they're tight and that they're going to support your weight. Most circus accidents are due to equipment failure. I've seen several Cirque du Soleil and other circus shows accidents happening, and it's not usually due to the performer. Sometimes it is, but a lot of the time it's due to equipment failure. So that's always super important for somebody to check. The third thing, never practice without proper padding underneath. I've seen some studios that don't use padding at all and they just have the floor, which I think is super risky and I wouldn't trust it. I have definitely fallen off before. It's not frequent, but there has been occurrences where I've slipped a little bit or I've fallen off, and I'm really glad that the padding was there to kind of break the fall. If it wasn't there, I could have seriously hurt myself, and definitely wouldn't want to be falling on a hard wood or a hard floor in general. So I would definitely make sure that you're going to a studio that places padding underneath or has some kind of precautions to make sure that you are secure if you do end up falling. And if you're practicing at home, make sure that you invest in something to put underneath, some kind of gym mat or something, so that way you're not just falling on a hard floor. Number 4, show up to either train or your show or whatever you're doing fully rested and fed. You're going to want to make sure that you're at 100% and you're attentive and can pay attention and fully absorb what they're instructing you to do, or just make sure that your body is fully prepared for that level of physicality, because if not, you risk falling or misunderstanding a movement and falling out of it, or getting tangled somehow if you're doing silks especially. So you're just going to want to make sure that you properly eat and fuel yourself before, and that you're not showing up on 3 hours of sleep, because I've done that before and it never works out great. So one time I had a show. I had to work at 5 a.m. that morning, and it was a full 8-hour shift, and then my job is super vigorous, and then I had the show at 7 p.m. so I was like really tired by that point, and I ended up falling off of the lyra on stage, and it wasn't super obvious, people didn't really know, but I was coming out from flag and I lost my grip and ended up falling off, and I just got right back up and I played it off, but it could have been a lot worse because I think that just being out of it from being so tired, my body wasn't fully with it, and so I just ended up losing my move and just fell out. So it was really scary and like felt a lot worse than it looked, I think. 5, don't try anything new that you don't fully understand, or just anything new in general, without a spot or someone helping you through it. So definitely don't practice on your own and try something that you've never done before without anyone there. That's a quick way to get yourself in a position that you get injured or you fall. I definitely, like, having my own lyra at home, I have to be careful about what I do. I never try anything new. And then if I go and train at the studio, like, I definitely don't try anything that I've never done before. 6, don't rush into anything before your muscles are ready. So if it's a trick that is a little bit beyond your skill level and you don't really have necessarily the muscle groups to support it, don't try it and just wait until you train your muscles a little bit more to properly execute that movement and get yourself through the movement and back out without struggling. Because sometimes even if you're strong enough to get into the movement, sometimes it is something where you're either inverting and you have to pull your own weight back out, and a lot of times getting out of it is a lot harder than getting into it. So just make sure that you are fully prepared to execute the full movement and get out of it safely. And lastly, you're going to want to make sure that you're wearing proper clothing. I have a video on what you should wear, but definitely don't wear anything super loose or anything that's going to distract you or get caught, or jewelry that could get caught or wrapped up in any way, or something that you have to fix while you're upside down, because anything that takes away from your movement puts you more at risk for falling, or just more at risk to not execute the move properly and to injure yourself. So those are my tips on risk reduction for aerial.